Why? 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 Just do it.
Today is a special day. We're here at LME in the dyno room, and we are about to dyno test our Gen-III Hemi. Now, if you're not familiar, we're giving this engine away. We put it together at PRI, and if you head on over to enginelabsgiveaway.com, you can enter to win. There's still time. It's a Gen-III Hemi, 427 cubic inches, not 426. And it's got a Gen-VI 3.8 liter Whipple supercharger on it. And this thing is gonna make at least 1,200 horsepower. Now I say at least, because it is packed with some of the highest end parts you can get. And we're gonna make a ton of boost. We've run the numbers, we've made the claim, now we're gonna prove it, so stay tuned. All right, so we've just wheeled the engine from the build room out here to the dyno. We're gonna transfer the engine from the engine stand that it was built on over here to the dyno cart. And what's cool about this is it lets you easily swap engines on the dyno. You basically, this acts as your bell housing, and then you've got your support here, and it just clicks into the dyno. You hook up your little spindle, and you're good to go. To make horsepower, you need air, you need spark, and you need fuel. We've gone with Fuel Injector Clinic's 1,440 cc a minute injectors to provide the fuel where we need it, when we need it, and in the amount we need it. 1,440 cc's should be plenty for what we're trying to make. We're trying to make 1,200 horsepower. On E85, this should have enough headroom for about 1,400 horsepower. I don't think we'll be running E85, but it's nice to know that if we do, we have plenty of room in this injector. Another little safety benefit is these are flowed at 43.5 PSI and we'll be operating at 55 PSI. So that basically makes the injector a little bit bigger. Now that we've talked about how the fuel is going to be delivered, let's go talk about the fuel that is going to be delivered with Ian from Boostane. There's absolutely no way we're going to try to run just straight 93 pump gas. But 93 plus Boostane is a different story. We have Ian here from Boostane, and we're gonna talk a little bit about how Boostane turns 93 into legitimate race fuel. Ian, we've done this before, like we've used it, I know it, like this isn't a test.
Yeah.
But explain how we're turning, pump fuel into race fuel with a can.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, there's a lot of different components that go into it, obviously. We developed some technology back in the day for kind of our own personal use. We needed a high octane race fuel equivalent solution for the racing that we were doing because we couldn't get a hold of race fuel or it was too expensive. So we developed a proprietary carrier that keeps a lot of the active ingredients that you would find in race fuel in a concentrated form and allows them to stay in solution. So, for somebody like this who's going to be putting this motor in kind of God knows what, obviously something that's going to go pretty fast, but what we're trying to do is offer that guy a solution to not be chained to a drum in his garage because, like you said, you're not putting 93 in this. I mean, you could once.
Maybe twice if you're really lucky.
Yeah, if you're really lucky. But ultimately what we want somebody to be able to do is if they're gonna build a motor like this and customize it and put the power out, we want them to be able to go and enjoy it and to be able to do that without worrying about where their next 5-gallon pail is gonna come from as far as race fuel is concerned. And that's where Boostane comes in, because we're gonna be able to help them customize their fuel and their octane rating to exactly what their engine's gonna need.
All the fuel and all the air in the world isn't gonna mean much if we can't ignite it. So, for the ignition on this project, we are running Brisk's Silver Racing plugs. Actually, 2 sets of Brisk Silver Racing plugs because the Gen-III Hemi runs dual plugs per cylinder. Now, to ignite that, we've got these Sultans of Spark coils. Now, you may know them from the LS or their Coyote or any line of their coil on plug plugs. But what is unique about these coils is you have 1 coil pack for 2 plugs. So that is going to ensure we have a nice hot spark. The silver is a highly conductive material, so that's going to ensure we have a nice hot spark. And between the two, we're going to keep the fires lit and make some power.
Now we got to figure out how much Boostane we need to add, because we're estimating about 2.5 gallons in the tank and about 1 gallon in the system. So now we got to now we just got to do a little bit of math. So essentially we're starting with, you know, here are the typical fuels you're going to find at your average gas station. We're going to start, we know that we got 93, let's shoot for 103. And then he said that we're treating 3.5 gallons. So to transform 3.5 gallons of 93 to 103, we're going to use 9.52 ounces of Boostane Professional. So yeah, let's call it 10 ounces for easy math. If you can measure out 1/2 ounce, by all means do that, but we'll take a little bit of the guesswork out and just call it 10 ounces, but we'll be good to go.
Everything's ready to go. Now it's just a matter of tidying everything up so that none of the new wiring is in the path of any belts or anything. And we're about to make some noise. I know I've said that quite a few times, but we're ready to make some noise. We're gonna be making some power here. Up first, we're going to be testing with the stock Hellcat manifolds with Boostane and 93 octane pump gas. And we're gonna see what kind of power we can get through the stock manifolds as a baseline before we put on those beautiful Kooks Headers.
So generally, braking procedure would be starting it, getting it to run, kind of dialing in our part throttle, no load fueling and whatnot. And then the computer will go through an automatic braking cycle between 4,500 and 5,500 RPM for a course of 5 to 10 seconds. So it's just going to sweep it up and sweep it down at part throttle, whatever throttle and load you want to give it. So generally we give it a little bit load at first, and then we'll kind of do that again with short dyno sweeps under progressively more throttle position, so under progressively more cylinder pressure.
So we pulled the plug, a little bit sooty, but that's because we never went full throttle. Also, color was a little different, but that's because of the additive. And there's no conclusive timing mark because we haven't gone full throttle. So we are going to wipe off the plugs. Everything looks okay, and we're gonna use all the other data logging to kind of get close and a little more in the ballpark and give it a full pull.
Why? 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 Just do it.
Because we're going to be moving so much air with that giant supercharger, we needed to go with a big primary header. Kooks makes a big primary header. We went with a 2-inch primary. Now normally when you think of a big primary, you're talking 1 3/4 inch, 1 7/8 inch. Now we're talking 2 inches. That will move a big volume of air. The cool thing about these headers, they have a 3-inch collector. Now that means that any exhaust you have that will header back will connect to this without any special, flanges or reducers or anything. It'll bolt right up. So our winner will not only get a set of monstrous tubing headers, it'll bolt right up. So we're not giving anybody a headache. So now that we have the Kooks headers installed, this is a good time to compare and contrast our Kooks 2-inch primary stainless headers with a factory Hellcat manifold. This is what we made our break-in runs on. Obviously this was built to perform because it's on all the 700 power Hellcat stuff, but that's its limit. These are built to make tons of power. If you'll notice on this, we've got kind of a cast-ish manifold design, short runner, completely unequal length, and it's designed to fit the application, keep heat in it, to light up the catalyst, and just be easy to produce. These are designed to make power. You've got much longer runner lengths, much more runner volume. When we're pushing, a metric ton of air, we need not just escape, we need velocity, we need scavenging, and that's what the Kooks provide. As you can see, just versus the weird stamp thing, we've got like a really nice fabricated collector. We've got these tubes with these nice, even, smooth mandrel bends. The Kooks are going to make a lot of power. Now that's not to take anything away from these. They did a great job, and they do a good job for what they're intended for. These do it better, and that's what we want, because this engine isn't about doing what it does from the factory. We're doing everything better here. Last night we left off at 1,199.0 horsepower, so just 1 horsepower shy, but that was with the stock manifolds. This morning we put the Kooks headers on. The tune-up has not changed. We still have a little bit of timing left to go, but right now we're not changing anything because we want a direct A/B comparison. So we've got fuel in with Boostane, we've got Boostane in us. We're ready to go. Let's go make some power. Made our back-to-back pulls, and as you can see with this dyno, we made 49 horsepower just by switching the manifolds. No tune-up changes, nothing, just taking off the cast manifolds and bolting on the tubular Kooks. And what's really impressive is, yeah, we have peaks of 49 horsepower, but if you look at the curve, you can see where they're working. Down here at 4,500, pretty similar, not a whole lot of work being or difference, because we have not as much exhaust flow. But then when we get really going here, you can see where they diverge, and the Kooks just keep on going, whereas the stock manifolds were laying over. They were done. They were at their limit. But we have more left in the Kooks. So with more left in the Kooks, we got to go mess with the tune-up. That means we're going to make more pulls. So I'm gonna come back after we make some changes and make some more power. Let's go. Our time at LME has come to an end. What have we learned? Well, we learned I would never try this on straight pump gas. I learned that Boostane really does work, although I kind of already knew that. We learned that Kooks 2-inch primary tubular headers were worth 68 horsepower over the stock manifolds, as you can see here. We ended last night with the stock manifolds at 1,199 horsepower, and we ended today at 1,267.3 horsepower. So we're definitely giving the winner a 1,200 horsepower engine. So if you're not entered, make sure you go get entered at enginelabsgiveaway.com. And if you are entered, cross your fingers, go rub your troll doll, knock on some wood, whatever you need to do to increase your chances of winning, because I guarantee you want this engine. Also, I want to know, what should we do next? While this may be, coming to a close, I want to know, what do we do next year? What do you want to see? What do you want to win next year? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, stay tuned. We've got a lot of cool other content coming to you. And until then, I'm Greg, and I'll see you later.